In 1990, Nicaraguan voters ousted Daniel Ortega from the presidency, thus ending a decade of war between the Sandinista National Liberation Front and the U.S.-financed Contra army. When opposition leader Violeta Chamorro took power, thousands of Sandinista and Contra soldiers left the bush and returned to their homes, many with serious physical and emotional problems. While in office, Chamorro did little to help them. Her successor, right-wing President Arnoldo Alemán, has done even less. Former soldiers tell a painful story, one familiar to veterans and their families, the world over.
My name is Robert Ritzenthaler, and it's March 16th, 2000. I'm sitting on the Atlantic coast of Nicaragua, a few miles south of Bluefields, in a wooded zone that during the war in the 1980s was a very hot area in terms of fighting between the Frente Sandinista and the resistance, the Contra army. Right now I'm sitting with 4 former combatants, 2 of which were in the Frente army and 2 which fought on the side of the resistance. They grew up together, and because of various circumstances found themselves fighting against each other. Ralston and Leonard are actually related, and we're here today to discuss some of the issues that these young men have had trying to go from war and fighting back to a peaceful existence in their home, and not only with other people, but learning to come together again as friends and relatives after fighting with each other during those years. The reason that we're here today, there are 2 reasons. First of all, it is now the 10-year anniversary of the end of the war in Nicaragua, the Civil War, but also because today is the actual 10-year anniversary of my own father's suicide. I was born on a Marine Corps base in Hawaii in 1964, shortly before my dad, a U.S. Marine officer, was sent to Vietnam. It messed up his life completely. He was never able to readjust to life back home. He fell into alcoholism and depression, and finally, 10 years ago today, took his own life. And to start off the discussion, I thought I would just read a passage of the suicide note that my dad left. Some of these feelings are universal, whether or not you fought in the Vietnam War or the Contra War, or regardless of what side or political persuasion you may have had. He wrote, "I take great satisfaction that I spent my spare hours becoming involved with the community. I needed something else to give purpose to my life and to pay back all the killing I did in Vietnam. Some the enemy, some the innocent walk-bys that are part of war. I think I echo what Uncle Roland said in his letter that occupies a prominent place on my desk, even though he wrote that shortly before his death in World War II. There are scars that never seem to completely heal. They only are scabbed over with the slightest breath of healing." And with that, I'm going to turn it over to these young men to let us know how they're doing 10 years after the end of the Nicaraguan Civil War.
Here on my left side, I have Ritzenthaler. He was my former second boss of my special troop from the Sandinista Army. We do struggle a long time together. At least we struggle along together 14 years and a half since I did know him in the army. And before that, well, we know each and every one of us here, because if you can see, we grew up in the same neighborhood. We went to school together, and just through politics of fear, we end up fighting against one another.
We people like we did against each other's, in other words, against each other's. And it's one people, he's my cousin. He was in a different troops and I was in a different one. And today we are here, sitting here and discussing opinions also. So experience also.
You see my brother here? He grew down on the pint in Bluefields cotton tree, about 2-3 blocks off from the quartel. I used to live up at top. One time we set an ambush on him. I don't know if he remember the ambush that we set down on some bar mouth. When he run leave the panga, the first man I see cross over on some bar mouth swimming was my brother Cheche. That's how we call him from small Cheche. He was like a deer in that time. Don't take credit for him. He's someone real very prepared. You know. Also one time Brother Ralph them when in 1985. Remember Brother Ralph when I steal the panga from down there, we tried to take over the quartel. When you all chase me and I get up and run, man, I run for life.
Anytime you get into an army and your country is in war, it's nothing good you learn. My cousin, my friend, I reach to a point that I see them as a dead enemy.
Well, when I was in the jungle, I commit a lot of error because there is no one is perfect. You know, I ask the good Lord to forgive me for those crimes that I did. You know, because you know, then teach us and just instruct us just to kill. You know, they instruct us to kill. That you kill without mercy. And when I thank the good Lord, I come home now and I live in home and I'm not sick. First time, yes, I did having some problems. Sometimes I did having some problems, you know, with the neighborhoods because they didn't like me. Because all the way I walk, they call me murderer, this, the other, thief. You know, them is who partly did helping to sicken me more. But after I commit one error right in town here, after the war, one woman looked at me and she cursed me that I'm a murderer, I'm a thief. And 3 days after, I blazed our house afire. And I went to prison for 1.5 years. And when I come out of jail from that, look like no one molest me, no thank the good Lord, no one curse me, no one tell me nothing. Well, I living in Bluefield, but I'm kind of still scared because I know there's a lot of people dead out and innocent people, you know. Maybe someone will have some inside feelings against me and try to harm me.
A soldier is receiving instruction from the higher brass. I did my wrongs. I know so far it hurt me then, because some of the time my memory is not the same. What the same is mean, sometimes I have problem, probably could be economical problem, political problem, and I want to my wife, I would like she to do what I say, and if she don't do that, I hurt her. Up to, the problem is still continue up to this time now, up to this month of the year.
2 years ago, I met my brother Rob, and he spoke to me about his father death, how his father killed himself, and I took it into consideration because I also did pass a hard problem. To say, after you finish and you leave the war and you come back home, you drag a lot of problem back home. Sometimes I even make mistake. I feel like I am into a military base. I may yell at my kids, or I may give her a strong word to my wife, and that become afterward a conflict in the home. You feel like everybody in the house should obey strictly your command, and after you see that no one don't want to submit under that condition, you become to feel unuseful. I drink sometimes to forget that in my home I have problem. I have economic problem in my home. I have lots problem in my home. My kids get against me through yelling after them. They get vexed with me because I yell too much after them, and to see me fighting with their mom. Here in Nicaragua we call it violencia doméstica. In the army, it's not good you learn in the army. I just regret it now. But first, for me, it was becoming a fun. For me, it become fun being in the woods, shooting at one another, and smelling the gunpowder. The gunpowder becomes something like a drugs, and you don't feel good if you don't smelling that gunpowder shooting and you see blood. You become a perfect killer. So after that is finished, you come home, and then with the rum drinking and with the distress, you become to see your wife and your family. You become to see them like an enemy.
I believe we need some things like psychology treatments for these men that fight in the war so long, because when you come out the war, you're practically, you might see me pretty good, I don't get no gunshot, but I am very sick with my brains. No one speak about the ex-soldier. Some of us we don't have I would say so high learning to work to office. Plenty I was stealing, plenty I was skilling, plenty I was doing all kind of things.
I'd really like to beg, maybe our message can reach to those brother and sister that had experienced the effect of the war. Those international brothers, especially those those Vietnam warriors, so ex-soldiers from Vietnam, would like to share our experience along with them, because if though the Vietnam War and the war that we had in Nicaragua, it was practically almost the same type of war. We, the farmer soldiers of the FSLN, we was trained by the Vietnamese. We were trained by the Vietnamese soldiers, and we learned the same technique that was used in Vietnam War. We, the soldiers, we have our own problem. The political men, they only think creating more war. And we, the ex-soldier that live what is war, we don't want any more war. What we want is a war of work. We want a war of clinic, special clinic to attend us. We want a war of help. We want people to come and make war in this country, but making war in benefit of those children that their father, their mother had died in war.
Well, for me, what I see, if they don't try to help this situation, better the situation for the ex-fighters them, and also the civilian them, what it come like say, in this time that we are living in, we're going to have a lots of problems because the government, they are the English one, well, here in Nicaragua that should do something for the ex-fighters. There are people that have kids, their wife, they need a home, they need medical attendance, and also we need, like, say, someone to look back to us. Don't take us like, say, we are not nobody into the world. The struggle that we fight and that we did have in Nicaragua, it was a big struggle. It was a worldwide news struggles all over the whole world. This news has been out about the Nicaraguan and this fight that we has passed through. So what I'm seeing about that right now, checking and noticing also and memorizing what did cause the war before is because things didn't go in right. And if the war should go back again, it would be because things continue being right. We are not getting support. You see, so I really can't say that we not going to have another war in Nicaragua. No, the pressure does make war comes. It does be from the pressure.
All we know is that we have thanks to give to the Lord that we live in, but we don't have no help from no one. You know, but it shouldn't have been so. It shouldn't have been so because I'll tell you something, brother. We are survivors. We are survivors from a rough war. And sometimes I tell you, sometimes when I wake up, I see my kids, sometimes I don't have what to give him to eat. Sometimes all kind of things that run through my mind, you know? All kind of different things that run through my mind. Sometimes I make up my mind, I say, you know something, man, I just hit the jungle back and look out to farm a bandage group, and maybe so they try to help us. I guess we should be the one them that they're looking to take care of most, because I'll tell you something, if you hear we unite back together, it's dangerous. It's very dangerous, and they're not looking into that. All they want is just to fill in them pockets, and they've not give a damn about we.
It's not hard for us to unite because now we get the full understanding of what is going on and what used to go on. And we see the separation that we have in here, both one from the FSLN and both from the other, which is the resistance. So it's easier for us to unite than before. Now everybody know what they did suffer. They don't get it, but at least they know what they did suffering about.
I really wouldn't want a next war in this country. But it's a big saying. I feel like sometimes we was a laboratory of tests. We're the living laboratory of test of democracy. We paying the consequence of democracy. You know, the government using also the ex-resistant, and also we the ex-soldier from the FSLN. We had something like a laboratory to see how far we can take this weight on our back, to see how far we can struggle on with all this inhuman way of living. We need to live distant. We are fighters. We are all fighters, and we need to live distant. We don't want to be living in a war country. I would like to have my gun just hang up in the house, and I don't want to use. I even don't want to back not even a knife onto me. You know, because I know what my way is, and I know I may commit something. I don't want to use nothing. But then the government itself, with their politics, they are pushing back the soldiers them to war. A hungry man is an angry man. And you can't come and talk to me about politics or talk to me about democracy when my belly is hungry and my kids at home don't have anything to eat. So all I could say, if the government push the people and don't try to solve the economical problem for the people, social economical problem for the people, it will push back the country into a next war. Because a hungry man is an angry man. I don't know what to say about that.
That's number one, right? Hungry man is an angry man.
A hungry man is a very angry man. You understand? And that's the message I think we would like all of we would like to send.
That's right.
To the world. Don't push a hungry man. Hermano amigo, de las duras y las maduras, ¿por qué tomaste la fatídica decisión de enlutar la casa de tu madre, Señor, de tu madre, querida por el pueblo? ¿Por qué enlutaste a la familia, a tu familia, del pueblo de Chinandega? ¿Por qué tomaste la fatídica decisión de jalar el gatillo de tu arma de reglamento? El TT, léase, tú la tocaré. Quisiste ser enterrado como todo un general, con bombas y platillos, con sirenas de bomberos que Ramiro Martínez sonaba, y te llevamos en hombro, tus 6 hermanos y amigos, cargándote hacia su morada, donde tú decidiste ir a descansar. Por muy doloroso que sea las palabras que un día mencionaste y que dijiste de esta manera: solo los pendejos se mueren. Pero tú hermano, no moriste como pendejo, sino que los pendejos de escritorios anchos y de mente reducida no pudieron valorar el hijo y hermano que perdió la familia de Chinandega. Y se leía en cada corona floral que estaba alrededor de tu ataúd, donde descansaba tu cuerpo. En uno de ellos se dice: de la Dirección Nacional del Frente Sandinista. Y los otros decía: de la Dirección General de la Seguridad del Estado, enviado por Fernando Caldera. Te acoloraron, te siguieron como bestia salvaje, te presionaron con su técnica de agotamiento, te presionaron de la manera como una manada de perros sigue al coyote en una cacería, y tú te decidiste refugiarte en el cañón de tu revólver, de tu pistola de reglamento, el Tula tocaré. ¿Por qué, hermano mío? ¿Por qué tomaste tan fatídica decisión de abandonar este mundo de los vivos y viajar hacia el mundo de los sin voz? Con amor para Leonel Ríos Cáceres. Bluefield, 16 de marzo del 2000.